what happened one day is a mentor showed up, a woman that was living her life by design rather than by default. And she had freedom. She had like time freedom. And I was like, wait, like, I just didn't know like there's ways to create wealth. No one ever taught me that. And so when I found someone that was living the life that I wanted, I was like, whatever I have to do, I want to work with you.
Without Fear of Her Future podcast is for women who are passionately pursuing financial freedom, using multiple streams of income and real estate to accomplish their goals. We are here to empower you to be brave, dream big, and design a life you love. I'm your co-host, Tresa Todd, founder of the Women's Real Estate Investors Network and author of the book, Without Fear of Her Future.
And I'm Melissa Baker, a real estate investor and fitness coach specializing in turning properties from drab to fab. I'm here to help motivate and inspire you to build your dream life because, girl, you deserve it. We are thrilled to welcome our guest today. At the remarkable age of only 23, she started on her entrepreneurial journey. And by 26, she had achieved her goals and reached the milestone of making her first $1 million. Since then, she has continued to soar, building a multi-million-dollar business empire. She is the host of the It Factor podcast, named the most influential speaker under 40 and a dedicated mentor, sharing how to cultivate and own your own personal brand while discovering your unique It Factor. Please join me in welcoming Emily Ford to the podcast. Hello, Emily.
Hello, ladies. I'm so blessed to be here with you.
Oh my gosh, we're so excited to have you with us today.
Yes. We had the honor, both of us, of hearing you speak at Live Out Loud, meeting your beautiful face. And what an honor. You are spectacular on stage. You are amazing.
So dynamic, so dynamic. And we're going to jump in because I know it's no secret. You really started all of this, the speaking and your entrepreneurial journey at such a young age. So I really want to start today with you just telling us a little bit about how you got started.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I was raised by a single mom in a very small town in Minnesota, and I knew how to work hard because I watched her like make ends meet, doing it all herself. But I worked as a nanny, I was a massage therapist, I was involved in competing in fitness. And then what happened one day is a mentor showed up, a woman that was living her life by design rather than by default. And she had freedom. She had like time freedom. And I was like, wait, like, I just didn't know like there's ways to create wealth. No one ever taught me that. And so when I found someone that was living the life that I wanted, I was like, whatever I have to do, I want to work with you. And so that ended up being in the network marketing profession. I got involved in a health and wellness company and dove all in, like cannonballed into the pool. And, that really set me up for success in terms of learning how to gain clients, anything around sales, overcoming rejection, but then building teams is really what I fell in love with, was like leadership and leading other teams and then building other cultures and going into different countries and just having a lot of fun doing that. And so that's how I got started. But I always share with people, my first 12 to 24 months, I was sleeping on a mattress on the floor and unplugged my TV and went all in to really learning and developing my mindset. And I think that's so important to share that because people see me now, but I'm like, I went all in to change, to grow in condensed time frames. And that's what's possible.
Woo! I love it. You mentioned two things that I love. One is mentors and one is mindset. And I agree. Mentors are what changed my life. So many people and those are the two things that I think, especially people that come from like the corporate world, they don't really learn about. That was me. We don't hear about having mentors. We don't really hear about mindset. And so, but those are the two things that literally changed my life as well. So, I love for our listeners to have the opportunity to hear somebody talking about those things. Get a mentor that's already where you want to be. They're going to help you get there faster. and they will help you to make those mindset shift changes.
100%. And it's like as you grow, like your mentors change as God does
Yes,
a new thing in your life. And I think that's so important to continue to have somebody that's 10 steps ahead of you. And
absolutely.
I've learned as well to have mentors in my spiritual walk, in investing, in all the different areas. It's like invaluable to have
Mhm.
Yes.
a mentor.
Absolutely. Okay, I want to talk about this because I know faith, it seems to be a cornerstone in your approach to both your personal brand and your business pursuit. So elaborate a little bit on how faith has influenced your professional endeavors.
Yeah. Well, I always say when I teach personal brand, like you are the brand. And so many people say, oh, I don't know. Should I put my faith into it? I don't want to be too much. And the thing is that like you are the brand. And if you have faith, then why are you hiding that? I think you're doing such a disservice because you're leaving out the thing that makes you the most powerful, which is God.
Yes.
Mhm.
You know,
Yes.
and so for me, I move with conviction in everything I do. Like I have to believe to speak about it. I have to own it to speak about it, or that's just how I move. And so I believe wholeheartedly in honoring God in all that I do. Everything I have is because of him. The people I meet is because of him. I'm not self-made, I'm God-made.
Oh,
Mm.
so
Yep,
good.
love that.
And people are portals, and he sent me so many earthly angels to help me in my walk, whether it's doing business with or learning from, or maybe even a lesson, right? And so I always include God. He's always with me on stage, off stage, and I'm not afraid to show it or talk about it, because it really has he's been the thing that's given me confidence that I could not have by myself.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree. I agree. I agree. I just have to ask you, um, how has that been? I know because there is so much fear because the
Mhm.
world is a little crazy right now, and there's a lot of fear for entrepreneurs that are walking in faith. Well, am I going to have haters, and am I going to, what's that going to feel like? What that's going to be like? Are you willing to share a little bit? What has your journey been like?
I grew up, I mean, I always loved God, but I didn't know what it meant to like walk in obedience. I didn't grow up in like a Bible-based home or anything like that. And so until I got involved in a spirit-filled church, and that's really when, the veil was revealed, like it was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, like this is how good it can really be. And what I've learned through growing in my faith and practicing discernment is fearing the Lord, and really what that means. And so for me, because I speak truth, and if I'm ever confused, is this truth? Is this real? Is this not? I go back to the living word and say, okay, this is truth. And I
Mhm.
fear the Lord, meaning like I know if I'm editing him out, I know that if maybe I'm preaching something or talking about something that is mainstream, but it's been indoctrinated into our culture, but it's really the opposite of truth. And so, I've just really been diligent and obedient in the last, couple of years of my life to just grow my relationship with God. And that has really equipped me to be able to stand up and talk about him proudly. But I will say, I always know what environment I'm in. And so, like I'm speaking at an event soon where I'll be with all men, from A-Rod to Deion Sanders to
Woohoo!
Mhm.
Tucker Carlson. And I think these guys, most of them are believers, right? But
Mhm.
I also know, how to read the room. And when I'm with a very secular group, I'm still teaching truth, but I'm not like up there saying, this is Jeremiah 29, blah, blah, blah. Um, and so it's just like knowing you can keep God in. You just don't have to be so forward facing in your face. I'm not a pastor. I'm just a woman that's been saved and set free.
Yeah.
And so that's how I do it in all the things I do. I just know my audience, and but I keep God in there for sure.
I love it. I
Yes,
love it. I love it.
so good. So, Emily, for women who are venturing into the entrepreneurship world, whether it's real estate investing or other businesses, how important is it for them to build a personal brand? Because I know that's kind of something you specialize in. So, can we talk about branding for a minute?
It's everything. It's everything because, here's the thing that I did really early on when I was trying to sell online. And I started with 900 Facebook friends, no following. And so here I was trying to like sell products. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like nobody even comments on my stuff except my mom. And
I love it.
so what I did was realized if I give value, people interact and I get more eyeballs. And so I also realized that I just talking about one thing is tuning out all this audience.
Mhm.
And so
Right.
I had started building a personal brand over a decade ago, and how it serves me, and I teach, I'm talking from a personal perspective, is, God has changed my direction, my course many times over again, and I'm still able to monetize, to, do a new thing and not have to start over because I have a personal brand. And so many times I talk to business people that they went all in on one thing, which I love, but that's like their brand identity. And then they try to shift, and it's like, oh my gosh, like I don't really have an audience for that. And so I do
Right.
believe like you are the brand. And I also do believe wholeheartedly, like one of the best things about personal brand is personal transformation and showing that transformation. And, even like with my marriage and just my journey through healing, it's like I don't tell everything, but I've shown women like what I've done to heal, and how I chose a godly man and why that was important to me. And it really lets people in. And so then maybe later down the road, they want to do business with me. Maybe they don't. It doesn't matter. But I just believe that's really what the world craves, because people do business with people they like, know, and trust, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah. So vulnerability and authenticity that's what I'm really hearing.
Yes, absolutely. And but at the same time showing you're an authority or you have
Yeah.
conviction in, whatever it is you're trying to sell. But that vulnerability aspect is it's everything. And I've been blessed to even mentor some big people in the space with their brands. And I'm like, you look like a robot. You look no, you're not that perfect. But
Yeah.
that's why they're not getting eyeballs, because it's
Yeah.
like it's known as that perfect and people tune.
Absolutely.
For sure.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, talk to us about this it factor.
Yeah, you know, through through coaching people, something that would drive me and still does bananas is I would be with someone and I'm like, I see so much uniqueness in you. These quirks, these spiritual gifts, this is actually what we need to bring out. You're trying to be like this woman who you'll never be. You're not that type of gal. You don't wear those.
Mhm.
Why are you trying to be this way? And
Mhm.
so what I realized in business, a lot of people would be like, you have to be charismatic and you have to be this way and you have to be that way. I'd read all these sales books and I'm like, if someone tries to be like that and they're really not, it shows. There's a resonance to that. People know when you're fake. And so what I started to do is really get down to it of like, how can I help people pull out their unique gifting and showcase that, so that way it's like they're truly who God created them to be, And so helping them step into that, it's like a breath of fresh air. It's like you can do whatever kind of business you want, but don't try to be like me, because you'll never be like me. And so it's owning your gifts. You were uniquely and wonderfully created in your mama's belly. I always share that with people. But it's also knowing and owning what's transpired in your life thus far. And so, those things, as sometimes sad as they can be, if someone had childhood trauma, whatnot, it also has made you who you are. And so how can
Absolutely.
you flip the script and really heal from it, break generational curses, but then teach other people what we've been through and make that a part of our story.
Absolutely. So do you believe, that everybody has an it factor?
100%.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love
And what really got me going on it is we had an event one time, and my camera crew, they're young men with tattoos and artists, and I trained on the it factor, and the man came backstage, and he's probably like 23 or something, and he was like, "You made me like feel seen." And
Oh,
and he's like, I go to these things and I always feel like I feel less than when I leave because I'm an artist, I'm a creative, and
Yeah.
oh.
I'm like, dude, like embrace who you are.
Mhm.
That's we need you. And
Yes.
so it's just that shift, right? That little micro shift that goes a long way.
It is, it is,
Yes.
and I love it because I do think that, I've heard other people talking about this it factor, and it can almost make you feel like, well, you either have it or you don't. But,
Right.
like, I agree with you. Every single one of us have an it factor. God created us all uniquely. He didn't
Mhm.
create so one person could be successful and the other one, but tuning into that, finding it and not being ashamed of it, but leaning into it is what I believe you're saying.
100%. You nailed it.
I love that. Emily, you've shared in several talks that unlocking success is about serving others and focusing on what you can offer someone versus what they do for you. So,
Um,
why do you think that that kind of mindset shift is so important when it comes to success?
when we're like wanting to get, that energy is so desperate, right? It's like,
Yes.
what am I going to get from this? And it just feels off. And when I had nothing, I had to really learn this because, I was sleeping on a mattress on the floor. I could hardly pay my rent. And I was like, okay, I'm a millionaire. And I kept, trying to reframe my brain. And what I learned was like the energy I was coming off with was so desperate, and I needed
Mhm.
to like shift that. And so instead, I'm like, what can I give to this person? And maybe or maybe not, it'll come back to me. Who cares? And so I started to really build my business with how can I serve you? And coming from that approach, and again, like initially I wanted to connect with super successful people, but I wasn't successful, so how was I going to get their attention? And so I got creative with it of like, how can I serve them? And, I just believe like that is why I'm where I am today. It's why I have like the connections I have, because it comes from a place of service and not this calculated, I want to get something from you. And people can really, really, really feel that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure. For sure. For
Yeah.
sure. So, we have to ask we can see that you have a wrist tattoo that says rain, which happens to be Teresa's word of the year.
So
So,
cool.
tell us about your tattoo and what rain means to you.
Yeah, it was when I was going through a super hard time in my life, and it was the season of first it felt like really loneliness. I was alone in LA at my condo, and I just had one of those dark nights of the soul where it's like, what am I going to do? Like, where do I go from here? Those that just super low point. And I remember just crying out to God on my bathroom floor. Like I was like so lost. And that's when I had this like encounter,
Mm.
and I just heard the voice of God just say like, come to me. And from that moment, I basically said, if it's not, God growing my faith, working on my health, or building my empire. I don't want anything to do with it. And so I committed my life to Christ, and I put reign on me of who reigns, like who reigns over me. And that's why I got the tattoo, to always remember who reigns. It's not me. And I'm a millennial. I'm in this culture of me centric, me, everything, right? And it's like alone. I'm not. that great. But with God, oh, I am awesome, right?
Yeah, amen.
For
I
sure.
love it.
I love
love
that.
it.
Yeah, that's
Well,
so
you know,
good.
RAIN is what we call it's Women's Real Estate Investors Network. So it's the RAIN. And then this year at our live conference, our theme is She Reigns. She Reigns. So when Melissa and Shay told me that you had that on your wrist, I was like, oh my gosh, we got to talk about that because I agree. And that's why a woman can reign. That's why you can reign, is because we worship the one who does reign. And when he is first in our life, then he causes us to reign and we're victorious and we're triumphant. We're not, just defeated all the time. And I think we have to really adopt that mindset and get a hold of that.
100%. That is so cool. I love
So let's talk for a minute, Emily, about your mentorship. It's called Fortitude.
Mhm.
Fortitude Mentorship. Can you share with our listeners a little bit about that word and about your mentorship?
Yeah, I love the word so much because it's truly like what I've learned in my journey thus far, like over a decade in entrepreneurship, is like I wish someone would have just told me like how hard it's going to be sometimes and how, I remember the first time I had like a setback in business and I was like, it almost took me out forever. Like I almost just stopped what I was doing. And I'm like, man, like you have to develop some serious
Mhm.
and fortitude and it's fortitude is not just needed on the sunny days at the beach. It's needed in the storms of life.
Mhm.
Really, I think having the mindset, even being a believer, and I always like draw my little sword emojis, like if fortitude and you clothe yourself with fortitude and you put your armor on, like you can go out there and get rejected. You can go out there and do your thing. You can go out there and expand your territory, do it all. And you clothe yourself in fortitude and you have that strength. It's such a mindset shift. And you
Yes.
know, that's why I named my company that is
Yeah.
to really embody that. And then it's a mentorship company that like I recently taught PR, how to be your own publicist. Like I'm constantly teaching personal brand, and it's just a very inexpensive monthly program that we not only help with business, but I also help fortify your faith and remind
Nice.
people to keep that the main focus.
That is great. I love what you're talking about because it does take fortitude to be an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for the weak. The beautiful thing about it is it's so worth it. If you will hang in there and have that grit and that fortitude, it's so worth it.
Oh, 100%. And it's like who you become in the process,
Yes.
right? Like that's where we're called to lean in, and that's what makes you and molds you and strengthens you. And like I know I would not be who I am today if I would have just like woke up and had a big house and all the money in the bank. And like I'm just so grateful for how things happened because it
Yes.
makes and shapes you.
Yes. All right. So I have a question. If you could offer one piece of advice to our listeners who are aspiring to follow a similar path as you, what would it be?
Just one.
Seems so
Well,
unfair.
yeah. What I really believe what's on my heart is to consume less and create more. And
Mm.
why I say this is because we're constantly consuming Instagram, Facebook, even people's books. And when you allow yourself to maybe just consume the Bible, the living word of God, and create more, you're going to really feel so much better because you're not going to be distracted by comparison. You're going to be
Mhm.
captivated by your purpose. And there's just so much joy when you're creating and not consuming. And I believe that the future belongs to those who truly are bold and who are willing to put themselves out there. And that's what we're supposed to do as entrepreneurs. But because there's so much coming at us, it can just feel like you just feel heavy. And it's like when you block all that out and you guard your focus, it's like amazing what you can accomplish and not get, distracted by paralysis by analysis and all those things. And so I would say that I'd say, create more than you consume, and you're going to find yourself having way more success.
So good.
Yeah, that is so good. That's so good. I love what you said. So, Emily, are you working on any current projects that you want to share with our listeners?
Yeah. I'm writing my first book, which is a lot of fun, but it feels like therapy at the same time. But that's been really a fun journey. And then, we have an event here in Orange County coming up in May for business entrepreneurs called Discovering Polaris. And yeah, there's always something going on.
Do you have a title for your book yet?
We think it's going to be called Never Be Shaken. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll be on the lookout for that.
Yes.
Never Be Shaken, possibly, by Emily Ford. All right.
Very nice.
A big event. Tell us about the event. It's in Orange County. And what's the name of it?
DiscoveringPolaris.com. And so it really is all about discovering your North Star, and it's a cinematic experience. So we've been privileged to work with someone in the creative world that does like cirque shows. And so we're basically going to have a theatrical experience meets like applicable training. So you go and you're going to be able to really figure out what your North Star is and have a plan. So we're doing that alongside of Anthony Termino, who is a prolific guy in the area that he actually ran for governor of California, but he also owns Traffic, which is the largest ad agency.
Familiar with that.
Yeah, so we're doing it together. We're co-laboring this together. And it's really, it's
Is it open to the public? Is it open to anyone that's listening?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
well, good.
Yeah, we have people flying in from like Europe even for it. So
wow.
Nice.
So good.
Yeah, that is so good. So tell our listeners, if they're interested in that or in any of your other projects or your book that's coming up, tell our listeners how they can connect with you online.
Yeah. Instagram is like huge for me at It's Emily. And I post my events. Like I'm speaking at the Clippers game for Faith and Family Night on Monday. Like I'm going to Tampa. I'm going everywhere. So just come hang out. And I always have all the events like in the link in my bio. So if anyone's listening and, they're in Tampa or wherever, like, you can see where I'm going to be and hang out.
Okay.
I love that.
Emily, thank you so much.
This has been wonderful.
It's been so good. I know that our listeners are gleaming from this. So I appreciate you being here. Cannot wait to see you. I mean, we're going to run into each other again.
Yes, we are. That's a for sure thing. So
yes.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Well, subscribe now to the Without Fear of Her Future podcast for new episode alerts. And if you're ready to change your financial future, then join our masterclass. It's for everyday women just like you and I who are turning real estate into life-changing profits. The masterclass is your golden ticket to rapid financial freedom. So dare to dream bigger and seize control of your future. Click the link in the episode description to register for the next masterclass and embark on your transformative journey today.
Thank you so much for joining us today. On behalf of the Women's Real Estate Investors Network and Tresa Todd, I'm Melissa Baker, encouraging you to be brave and dream big.